Welcome to building an app. We're banking a quotes app using Firebase to store our quotes on. We're gonna start Android Studio and get us an empty compose activity going because we're using compose now. There'll be another tutorial if we're not sure how to use it. We gotta create our application. We're gonna call it the quotes. API 26 should be fine. 82% of devices will be alright. This all looks good. We're gonna go ahead and get this started. So what we're gonna do is we're going to get some quotes, put some quotes on the back end, serve the quotes to the front end, and get those going in app from Firebase. This will show you how to read the data from Firebase and store data in Firebase and access it. Also setting Firebase up. We're gonna go through the tools. They have a simpler implementation. You can do it the manual way, but if it's already here for you, why not? I'm already signed into Android Studio through Google, so it should work cleanly. We're going to launch an emulator. For Firebase, you want to make sure that your emulator has Google Play services. You'll see that when you go to set it up, you'll be able to have these emulators with Play services enabled. Let's go. We have regular content here. We're going to clear all this out, of course. But it should be pretty simple. We'll see how it goes. We'll be showing examples of how we put in quotes on Firebase also, and showing the web when we're connecting it. All right, we have our information here. Emulator starting up. We're still waiting on our target devices to come online. View full screen. Pixel started. All right, we got our Hello Android. How are you? So the first thing we need to do is, like I said, we're setting up Firebase. We're going to Tools. And the Firebase Assistant will handle this for you. We know we're going to be using the data store or the Firestore for saving our data. We want to connect Firebase. Can't really see. We'll make it have a connect Firebase. This will set this thing up for you. So it's going to launch the Firebase flow, and you'll be able to add new project that already knows it's called the quotes. So we'll go through this. This is all Google standard things. You can say no if you want to. I'm just going to say yes. Now select an account, default account for Firebase, create project. So this is creating a Firebase project for us that is also downloading a Google JSON file to Android Studio for us, and that's how Firebase projects get connected from the app to the Firebase project in the cloud. All right, we are ready to go. Hopefully, let's see what it says. It's been created. I do want to connect them. We are connected. Going back to Android Studio. And now the second thing that has to be set up is our dependencies. But just so you can preview it here, the Google Services JSON file, it's there. That's what that comes from Firebase. That's what connects them. Again, this could be a manual process for you if you want, but we'll just use the tools. So we're gonna add cloud to Firestore. So adding the SDK, again, it's an auto thing. It's going to take these implementations and put them in our build script, our Gradle script. So we'll go down to Gradle script. We can view it here. It added this Firestore 24. So it should give us what we need to start storing things on Fire. So now we have, it's going to go into the tutorial of how to set it up. So you have your Firestore DB. We need this information. But before we do this, this will not just be sitting in our main activity. This will be in a class that we will use. But before we use that, we know we got quotes. We want to create a quote class. So it's going to be a data class because it's just holding data. It's going to be an object that we use to get information from the server. So we want to keep this simple. Our quote class will have an author as a string, and we'll also have the quote from the author. When we go to set objects from documents, there's a document2 object that we use from Firebase to match what we've made. This has to be a constructor class, so we're going to set these values to have a value because that's what's going to be required to make sure that this object can go through. Otherwise, you'll get errors. You can try it if you want and see how that goes for you. Second, we need to make the view model. View model is where we're going to handle our data. We want to keep the UI dumb and tell it what data it needs to have. So we'll inherit the Android view model and get that going there. And what'll happen is as soon as the view model comes on the screen, we're just going to, well, actually we're going to copy and paste our Firebase. This is where our DB is going to live. So we'll copy and paste the Java code. It, of course, turn it into Kotlin. And then we don't need to add data. This is the part of the tutorial that's telling you how to add data. We need to read data because our add data, we're actually going to do ourselves. So the add data part, you don't really have to worry about. What we're going to do is we're going to go in Firebase and we're going to add our own data manually because we are the cloud. So go into our Cloud Firestore, we're going to create a database, set it in test mode. This allows anybody to have access for the date set, which is 30 days or so. Yep, for the next 30 days, it's going to set that timestamp for you. You hit next. It's going to go ahead and create this test mode for you so that you just go back and forth. Otherwise, you need some sort of credentials to get into your database, which would be SHA-1 credentials. Is another tutorial. We will get there when we get there. But right now, we're trying to set up quotes. This is the collection that we're setting up now, and it's a collection of quotes that has an author. We'll just set up a dummy one now, which is The Rock, and I know that one that we'll set up. They also have a quote. Same thing. This mirrors our class that we have in Android Studio, and we're gonna copy and paste the Hungry and Devour situation that he has going on right now. So that's our first quote that is inside of our Firestore. And let's create a second quote here. And we'll go Arthur C. Clarke because I like his quotes, or at least one of them I know for sure. Insufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic. So we have that. We'll go forward with, let's get one more quote in there. One more. This will be, Assassin's Creed, my other favorite quote. Nothing is true, everything is permitted. Shouts out to Ezio. Go ahead and save that. So now we got our 3 quotes in there. So we have our 3 quotes on our back end. We'll go back into our app, and we have a Firebase instance that is our database. That's what that DB stands for. So look on the side, we added data. We can skip that portion. We want to go into reading data. Yep. So we can copy and paste this code, and we want to do it as soon as the view model comes up because that's what will happen when the app opens. So that is in init. This would be when the view model's fired up, the first thing it'll do. And if we copy and paste that code, the Java will turn to Kotlin. We have users, but our collection is called quotes. That is on our Firestore backside. We called it quotes. We can check that and see. And now we have our completion listener. Means once we get our quotes, we'll set these tags to nothing because I don't feel like naming the tag class. So we're going to get a list of quotes, and we know we need that list. So we'll create our variable that's going to hold the quotes in the view model for us. And we're going to create an array list because we're going to have to add and remove from this list. You'll see coming up why we have to do that. So what is it? An empty array. It's array list stuff. That's what it's. All right. So we got an array list of nothing. It's quotes, and we're working with compose. We need the quotes to go to the front end. Compose, you need the state of. So we'll get a mutable state of quotes, not just quotes in a normal state because we're using compose. All right, so now we can tell the front end when we do have quotes. This looks good. I think this looks good. So we're gonna come down here and we have to get the list of quotes from the documents. We're gonna do something that I'm more familiar with instead of the in. So we have our task result and we're gonna say for each. And for each document, we want to add it to the list of quotes. We're going to remove the old stuff. If we just needed the quote straight out, we would just make it equal to the list, but we don't need all the quotes at the same time necessary. I mean, yeah, we kind of do, but this makes it so we get to move them back and forth. So since we have quotes, we need our current quote. I was wrong. We don't need a mutable state of for quotes because all of that won't go to the front screen. But the current quote that we are talking about or that we retrieved is, so the current quote will be actually what shows up on the screen and displays, while the quotes are like what we have in the background that we can pull from in order to change the front display. So we come up here, we'll make that private because we won't use quotes publicly. Only the view model will do it. And we'll take our quotes and we're going to add, we're going to value, we'll keep it the way that it is now, even though we don't furnish it on the front. Let's just go ahead. We'll add a document to object. We created a quote object. As long as this object matches what's on the Firebase backend, which is an author and a quote, they should have no problems with each other. So we'll say we'll get from the document the author. Oh, no, I'm sorry. We'll use quote class. And it adds it for us, so we don't have to worry about setting that value ourselves. So add these quote classes to it. We want to get a random quote. We don't want to just get them in order. You'll just get the first one every single time. So in order to get a random quote is going to return a quote. And we have our current quote. We'll say our current quote value is equal to the quotes. Give me a random one. Can I not get a random value? That's right. I know this exists. There we go. All right. But it wants me to return a quote. We don't need to return a quote. That was wrong. The current value will update the front end compose wise. So this technically should work. And now let's see what else we got. We don't have anything else on our list. We're looking at our front now of our old Hello Android. We want to remove this out of the way and start our quotes view. So before we do any of that, we have to get the data from the view model. So we're going to get our view model up and running. This is our main view model. Remove these. Poop. This works. So now when this screen comes up, it's going to do an init and get the quotes from the back end. And that should get us new quotes every time we restart the app. Right now we do this greeting with Android that says hello Android. We're not really going to use this at all, so we're going to get rid of that. And get rid of where it's being used. And now we need to make our quotes view. Probably could use some of that greeting. Just delete it. Whatever. We'll be all right. So we have our quote. What are we going to call this? Who knows? I don't want to name things. We'll just say quote view. Quote area. Try to stay away from view, man. It's used so much so everywhere. So the quote area takes a quote and we want to preview it. So we'll come and set this, and we'll default this to the rock quote so we can see it in preview. Except we'll simple. I don't want to type all that. We'll just we'll go with old day rock. Doesn't matter. All right. And now we update our preview. We'll be all right. We'll keep it going for right now. You know what? Let's run it. See what happens. This should give us some sort of preview of what our current quote area looks like, which is nothing because we have no views inside of quote area. We would need the text. So let's set us some text in here. We'll take the quote, we'll get the author, and we'll put them in a column so they stack on top of each other. Drag this one in there. Poop. We need another one. Control D duplicates that line, and we got the quote. Now the preview should look like something. Yeah, I think it should be good to go. So now if we run it, it's going to give us our preview of generic looking quotes. The rock, it doesn't matter. This is our quote from the back. Oh, not the back end. This is our local quote. Now we go on for non-local quotes. We're going for international quotes. These will come from Firebase. So we'll put our quote area here. And what will happen is the quote area will get the main view model's current quote dot value. So whenever that updates, it will set it to that quote area, which is good for us. So if we run this, this is going to crash. Can't do a random quote here because a random quote is a function that returns the value of their current quote. So we need to randomize first, and that will set this value. So now we'll run it, and we're gonna crash. Developer time. Let's see why we crashed. Now look at the errors. And this is because the collection is empty. There's nothing in the random quote. And that's because this is not happening, and the random quote is happening faster than the back end is getting it. So what we need to do is on completion, we're going to update the value. And just to see it right now, let's just go ahead and grab the first one that shows up. So we hit quotes, value, first one out the list. And we'll remove random quote because that's not going to do anything for us right now. All right, we'll run that. And we got a random quote from the back end, or the first one actually, the assassins. Nothing is true, everything is permitted. This is what we typed in on the back end. This is sort of how it should go. So now that we have our random quotes, or our quotes, we need to, you know what? Let's put the quote above the, author. And then see how that looks. I like this better. Quote first, author second. All right. So now we don't really need the first value. This is a lot. This is just because we want to see something because we've been working for, what, 20 minutes now, and we want to see some area. We need a button to refresh the quotes because you don't want to look at the same quote all day. And since you don't want to look at the same quote all day, this is how we'll do our randomize. And we're going to do this nifty Kotlin compose situation here that gives us a unit or function to input. And we'll be able to put a function in there and then execute that function down on the button click. Bow. We need parentheses. Bow, because it is a function. Give me my E back. All right. So randomize will happen in the button. We'll let everybody know that this is the refresh button. And it should refresh your quotes. So what we'll do is on randomize from the view model, that's when it will give you a random quote from the backside. And we don't want to, you don't call it in this way. You do the, what is it, colon. There we go. And the preview is going to act up because the preview is like, hey, you said I needed something. But he doesn't need anything. We'll just put the brackets there because we don't care about that. And now we'll run it and see if we can randomize this quote. If we hit refresh, there we go. You can't see me clicking it, but I'm clicking it. I'm going through our quotes. So you'll see some of the clicks happen multiple times before the quote changes, and that's because we're getting the same quote once or twice or however many random times we could possibly get it. And we kind of want this to be a random out of the ones that we have not seen. So we're going to store what we've used and reset that list whenever our used is full. So we'll have our used quotes that'll hold the quotes that we have seen before to remove them from the random list. It's a lot of equals going on in there. Let's get rid of one. There we go. There we go. We also need to change our quotes to just be a regular array list instead of mutable state of, but we'll get there when we get there. Anytime the mutable state of is so that it can reflect on the front end where the compose is. Otherwise, just let the class do its data work. So we have our current quote. That value is going to be, can it even be null? Can't even be null. And we'll say whenever we get a current quote, when we randomize, add it to the used quotes. And that's the it that's going on there. So if we add it to the used quotes, then we're going to want to remove it from current quote. Not current quote, just our list of quotes. So let's remove, you know, this is getting out of hand. There we go. I'm not going to keep doing that value situation there. Yeah, simple stuff. Yeah, let's go. I'm the boss of this coding thing. All right, so we're going to remove this quote that matches this situation. Technically, we just put it as long as the values match. And then once we randomize, we'll only get the quotes that are still in the list. But at some point, this list is going to start over. So we need to check the list to make sure we're not out of quotes to display. If we are out of quotes to display, then preset the list to whatever used quotes is, because used quotes potentially has all the quotes from before. So if quotes is empty, then make quotes equal to used quotes. We'll add them all in there, because if you make it equal, they're going to hold on to each other's values. You don't really want that. Then it'll just be like, hey, you said I was empty, and I am empty. And then clear out use quotes. So we want to check the quotes before we randomize, after we randomize. Or on the add and remove, then check our quotes, see if we're good to go. If we are good to go, or whatever the good to go situation is, current quotes, that value is equal to quotes.random. Then quotes should always have the newest, bestest quotes in it. So now we change that to a randomized quote because that sounds better. We leave a randomizer. Hey, how that goes down. I wish it would just take the name. And we'll go ahead and run it. And I believe we are going to get the first one. And now if we refresh, we will never get the same quote 2 times in a row because we are removing it, adding it when need be. And this is working out very nice. And now, as we do with data, we want to, it should be a prettier thing, man. Of course, you could dress it up however you want to dress it, but let's dress it up a little bit so we can see how compose works with the modifiers and such. So we're going to fill up max width of the column so that we can get the quotes in the middle. Let's put some padding on the start side just in case, even if the quote runs long, I don't want it touching the edge of the screen. You want you some DP padding in between there. We'll go for 16. I feel like 16 looks good. You probably do 8. And what else? We need to vertically set it in the middle. How is this achieved? Is it alignment? Vertical arrangement. There we go. And we want to say center. We're going to center that vertical arrangement. What does this look like? Let's see what this looks like. I'm good with this. Good with this. All right, so we got in the middle of the screen. We centered vertically, so it mushed it all the way down. And now with the text, let's not look so weak. We're gonna put our modifier on. And it's not a model. Give us some let's align the text to the center. Text might have a different, yeah, we're gonna center. There we go. Center horizontal. We could have just typed that. Trying to live my best life because we want to move that text to the dead middle. There we go. So now we want to text still a little weak. Maybe change the size. What is it? Font size. And we're gonna go. What is it? Scale pixels. We got DP, which is like density pixels, and SP is scale pixels. SP is for font. That's what you want to go on. If you want to know the logistics, be my guest. But SP is for font instead of DP. So let's see how big this text is. Decent size. That's a decent size. Maybe we want to go a little bigger. Oh, when you do the modifiers on the previews, while it's up already, you get to instantly see it. This is amazing. I'm not gonna lie to you. I wish the whole thing did that. Flutter does this. All right, let's set these same things for the author part of this. It's not gonna do it because we need to run the app in order for it to automatically show. So nothing's true. Everything is permitted. This is from the Assassins. Yeah, let's shrink the author back down and put us some space in between there. We want to do a modifier with height and put us some space in between the quote and the author name. And 8? Yeah, that's right. See what that looks like. See how that feel. I'm okay with this. All right. Next up. Maybe I don't want this centered. Maybe it's like when people write things, they put the author thing kind of to the left. Let's remove that centering. Now let's see what that looks like. Boop. I can do this. I feel like there should be some bolding going on here. Yeah, I feel like there should be some bolding going on here. Let's what is their thing for bold? Font weight? Yes. Let's get some bold popping. Let's run that. See what it looks like. I like it. I'm here for it. I'll take that and let's put it on the author. See what that looks like. Shouldn't be as big because the font size is smaller, but it should still look good. I'm digging this. What I'm not digging is how close that refresh button is to the author. Oh, yeah, center it first. And then could have just typed center horizontally. Let's check it. Because right now we're just cruising. We already created our quotes. We're good to go. We got a refresh button. We got that moved to the middle. Look at that. Look at that randomness. Look at Arthur C. Clarke. Nothing is true. Everything is permitted. Let's get it. So we have a spacer here. And we're going to duplicate spacer to get that refresh button away from that author name. Yeah, let's see what this should be good. Also want this little dash thing next to the name when it comes up. So you know who did it? Because who could tell right now? It just looks like assassins. Might have said something, but maybe it's part of the article. Now, quotes. Now we got real life quotes. I'm living our life. This is legit. I'm satisfied with this situation. And we have our quotes on the back end, Firebase. We can add more. And now you have a working quotes app. And you can update it, potentially make this a live wallpaper. Mikey. All right, what quotes do I remember? Mikey, I know he likes it, as from like way back in the day before I was born type stuff. But you have to reset the app to get your new quote. Do not think this is, you can make it so it adds, but that is not what we did here. You reset your app and Mikey's quote is now there, and I like it. Appreciate y'all, and I will see you next tutorial.